We finally get an anime adaptation of the best Hollywood franchise out there. Yes, John Wick. We finally get the John Wick anime called Sakamoto Days. I'm just joking. I know that's probably an overplayed joke at this point. It's a fitting sort of joke there, but yes, it's probably an overplayed joke at this point. But I've never got to use it before, so I finally get to use it. But yes, Sakamoto Days is finally here with not just one episode, but 2 episodes on its premiere. I'm getting tired of these shows dropping 2 episodes at once. It's like, holy crap, I gotta scramble to watch 2 episodes. But yes, it's released in Japan. I watched the Japanese release of it. I'm not sure what Netflix over here is doing. Either way, I got access to the first 2 episodes. I watched them. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is obviously the most anticipated news show of the winter 2025 anime season, and I had a lot of hope for it. And honestly, after watching the first episode, I'm invested. It's just got a really good vibe to it. It's kind of a similar vibe that I got early in Spy Family. It's that whole vibe of somebody just trying to give up that life, or at least hiding that old life, and just pure family shenanigans happens. Anyways, for those that don't know what the series is about, it's about Sakamoto, who is like the most legendary assassin out there. Like, everybody fears this guy, and anybody that works alongside him just looks up to him. All the other assassins, they look up to this dude. Well, yes. As it happens, one day while he's at a convenience store, he falls in love with the clerk immediately. And yes, they start going out. Eventually they get married. He has a child. And yes, he lets himself go. The dude lets himself go. He gets more like me, not like a hunk guy. He becomes more like me. But yes, he lets himself go. Quits his job and everything. Well, cut forward at some point, this guy named Shin, who used to work alongside him, shows up at his convenience store that he actually works at. And yes, first, he's kind of asking him to rejoin the assassins. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then over time, yes, at some point, he's kind of forced to have to take down Sakamoto. His boss calls him up, says, oh, so he's still alive? You know, if he's not coming back, kill him. You know the rules. You know, once an assassin, always an assassin. If you try to quit, you're dead. Well, yes, he goes to try to kill him. Sakamoto beats him with cough drops. Despite the fact that Shin does seem to have the ability to read minds, he's like an esper. He's able to kind of read people's minds, find out what they're going to do. He can't really read Sakamoto. And again, Sakamoto beats him with cough drops and cream puffs. And he thinks he's dead, but no, he wakes up inside of, you know, their little home inside of the convenience store. And yes, welcomes to a meal. He eats the meal. It's super warm. He likes the vibe of his family, and then realizes at that point, oh, this is why Sakamoto quit. This family right here, this is what he wants to protect. So yes, Shin goes back to the boss and says, hey, don't kill Sakamoto. Please spare him. Hey, if you want somebody's life, take mine. And the guy's like, yeah, go ahead and do it. But then he reads his mind, reading that the boss is literally going, yeah, just take yourself out, whatever. I'm not giving up on Sakamoto. At which point Sakamoto overhears this because he bugged his gun, comes rushing in there, saves his life, and they go back. And he hires Shin as a store clerk. And then going into the second episode, we get a little bit of hints, the idea that, yes, Sakamoto has this rule in their family. The wife has set down the ground rules. We see a little bit of flashback at some point that, yes, while they were dating, Sakamoto was still doing his assassination job in order to buy presents to give to his now wife. And at some point, she's like, this can't go on. I can't take you taking people's lives. And so she decides to end her own life by jumping off the side of the building, at which point Sakamoto, you know, jumps down there, saves her life, and then she goes, what'd you think about while you were saving my life? You can't bear losing me. Well, there's other people out there who have family that can't bear to lose them. You have to stop killing. And that's when she basically sets the ground rules. For their family, rule number 1, you cannot take lives. But she also establishes that, you know, to make up for all the lives you've taken, you know, protect lives, save lives, which, yes, manifests in the second episode. We meet Lou, who is this girl who her entire family has been killed. She's part of some mafia group, and she has a key that has all of her family heirlooms in it that they really badly want, so they're chasing her down. And Sakamoto and Shin, you know, rescue her and save her life from these nasty assassins. And then she joins the convenience store to make meat buns. To return the favor, she starts working there to make meat buns for the family, which at that point, Shin learns the family rule of not killing, which if he breaks that rule, Sakamoto will kill him, which technically he can't do because that's against the rules. And that's the setup for Sakamoto Days so far. The gist of this entire series, obviously, if you're not catching it so far, is, yes, ex-assassin guy who's extremely good at his job. Again, this is a guy who all he has to do is have a pen in his hand, or he'll shoot a cough drop out of his mouth to deflect a bullet. He's shooting cough balls with a little rubber band that's able to take out people. He's using silverware and whatnot in order to destroy people's knives or blades or whatever, clonking people over the head with massive pots. It's one of those kind of concepts where He's so good at being an assassin. Again, similar to John Wick or something like that. He's so good at being an assassin, he'll grab whatever's around him and just completely decimate somebody. And it does a really good job of that so far. I just get a kick out of the fact that, yes, in the first episode, at some point, he just cracks open some chopsticks and people are shooting bullets at him. He's deflecting with the chopsticks and then grabs 2 bullets in the middle of the air with the chopsticks. He's that badass. And I love that aspect. I get a massive kick out of just the being able to do something really, really cool with something that's normally inconvenient for that purpose. He's an unconventional tool user, basically. And it sort of spices up a lot of the action scenes. Normally with an action scene, there's going to be bullets flying everywhere, punching, stabbing, or whatever. I mean, we get that from the beginning of the first episode. We get to see his old self just going in and just shooting everybody. Like, it's just basic stuff. But with him letting himself go, becoming a family man, and yes, not being able to kill, suddenly everything becomes, unconventional fighting because he's just grabbing whatever's around him. And it's just pure comedy gold. Shin also adds a lot of comedy in there as well because it doesn't seem like Sakamoto talks much. But Shin can read his mind, so he's constantly getting feedback from him like, yeah, don't smoke. So he cuts off his cigarette. Yes, every single time he goes to do something wrong, he'll end up reading Sakamoto's mind, who kills him in his mind in different ways. At some point, he's like, stop thinking about ways of killing me, please. Shin's experiencing death over and over again because he's seeing his death through the vision of Sakamoto all the time. Lu's great so far. We kind of see her determination for her family and her love for her family so far. I didn't really like so much at the very end of the second episode. It felt like out of nowhere, she became like super aggro with Shin. It's like the second episode's like mostly just them trying to like survive and him helping her out and her fighting alongside them. And then out of nowhere at the end of the episode, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, they're always at each other's throats. Just so you know, like out of nowhere, she's like, baka. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, whoa, aggro level just shot through the roof out of nowhere. I guess they're going to be at each other's throats all the time. We're just establishing that. It was odd they changed her design quite significantly, at least her outfit when they first meet her. Like she had like this really nice like traditional Chinese outfit with like these baggy pants. And in the anime, they decided to give her a jacket and shorts. Okay. It's like, why did they change that outfit? Like the outfit was pretty cool. Again, very traditional Chinese. And for some reason, they're like, she looked better with a fluffy jacket and biker shorts. I don't know what that deal is. But yeah, to that point, based on flipping through the manga, it looks like they skipped like 2 whole segments. So I'm not sure. I guess going in the second episode, they wanted to rush to get to Lu and get her introduced to the group. I don't know if they'll go back and do those other 2 segments. They don't seem story significant, besides establishing that whole thing with his wife and how she jumped off the building in order to kind of prove to him that lives matter. But no, overall, like I said earlier, this show just has a vibe to it that I just absolutely eat up. It's again similar to like a Spy Family situation here where, yes, there's like a looming threat of death always there, but it has that wholesome nature of the characters just kind of doing their work at the convenience store. And just, yes, every now and then something like deadly pops up. And then like that unconventional fighting actually happens. And then it kind of goes back to just kind of chilling. Like I almost get that same feeling that Shin has of like, oh, this is just a cover story. Like he's just trying to show me that he's really powerful right now. That kind of feeling there of like Sakamoto is just kind of slurping down some noodles. But the next second he does something that would normally be extremely deadly. I get a kick out of that. I like that masked sense of deadliness that it just absolutely pulls off. I think the core focus of most of the show is probably going to be family and the idea of obviously with each one of these characters they've introduced so far, it's been central focus is family. Obviously, Lu, her most important thing was her parents. Her family was the important things. Then getting into the heirlooms and all that kind of stuff. With Sakamoto, obviously, he quit his job at being an assassin for family. He learned what the value of life was through his family, and now he wants to protect that family. And now, yes, we have Shin, who doesn't seemingly have a family. It seems like he's learning about family through Sakamoto. So I do love that kind of center focus of family. And again, it kind of adds to that vibe that the show has. Putting that aside, though, obviously, it seems like I'm not really caring too much about it, but there seems to be a lot of discussion happening right now around the visuals. It was mostly around the PVs. When the PVs were released, a lot of people were very upset. Some people were saying it's not that bad, and some people saying we jumped the gun. Overall, there's a lot of conversation happening around the actual visual of the shows. Me personally, I thought it looked really, really great. Yes, I can make arguments about the character faces being pretty wonky here and there, like when Shin first walks into the convenience store to go take Sakamoto's life, it looked like his chin was trying to run away from his forehead. And it does that a lot, but overall, I think it looks really, really great. I think it nails the animation and the action scenes when it needs to hit it. Yes, there's a lot of use of action stills, a lot of that kind of the hands moving so fast and the lines kind of shooting and it not really showing an actual flow of combat. But based on what I'm seeing from the manga itself, it looks like a lot of that stuff is kind of cut for cut. I think overall it looks great. I think the whole fight scene with Shin and Sakamoto in the convenience store was really well portrayed. I just loved the cough drop shooting across there, deflecting the bullet, all that kind of stuff. It looked really, really good. So, but again, I'm kind of more in the category of just loving the vibe of the show, that I don't really necessarily need like ufotable grade levels of action scenes and choreography. I think when the action scenes happen, it does enough to really nail the point. I will admit that the fight scene in the later part of the second episode, I didn't really get too much out of it besides, again, the comedy beats within it where, yes, every now and then Sakamoto pulls a muscle or something and Shin goes up to have to put a Band-Aid on him or a hot pack. Again, I'm getting a kick out of the vibe of the show. So I don't necessarily think that, like a lot of people, I'm not going to probably hang too much on the action scenes being at footable levels. I know there's a lot of love for this franchise, so a lot of people have high expectations for it. So I don't really necessarily blame people for being upset, but for me, it's working. On all cylinders, it's just working for me. The comedy's fantastic, the chemistry's great so far, the setup is great, Sakamoto is fantastic. I just love his character. Again, it's just got a vibe that I'm just totally clicking with. So I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of the series. Unfortunately, that we technically, because we had 2 episodes already, and there's I think only 11 episodes for this first core. We only got 9 more episodes to go, so it seems like it's gonna be a very quick season, but it did technically start late. But of course, for those that don't know, we're gonna get another core later on in the year, so it's just a split core situation. So anyhow, absolutely loving the show so far. Looking forward to more. Really going to go up there. Obviously, I don't know that it necessarily beats Flower and Asura for me right now, but for the new shows, it's definitely up there as my favorite of the season so far. So anyhow, that's my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Sakamoto Days. Hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, hit the like button down below if you like this video. If you're new here, subscribe before you leave so you can get all my content. I'm doing first impressions of all the shows this season, so definitely stick around. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support y'all more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care.